Uh, hey, what's going on, guys? Darktide just rolled out patch 1.11.4, and there is a lot packed into it, even though the tone of the update is pretty straightforward on the surface. The big picture is that this one brings some balance adjustments, a handful of quality of life changes, a pretty important expedition map refresh, and a stack of bug fixes that touch everything from crashes to UI behavior. One of the nicer touches is the new way the live events view works, because it can now show past live events instead of only the current one, which makes the menu feel a lot more useful. They also cleaned up the personality scourge menu so it can actually tell when nothing has changed and notify the player at the end, which is the kind of fix you barely think about until a menu stops wasting your time. On top of that, quick play matchmaking now gets disabled when you choose private game from the extra matchmaking options, so there is less room for the game to pull you into the wrong kind of session. The Hive Scum class also got a few adjustments, including talents like Adrenaline Smiter and Splash Damage now counting kills from attacks that latch onto enemies, while Street Tough can no longer be triggered by specialist melee attacks like a Poxhound Pounce. They also improved the expedition menu message so it better explains why another mission cannot start. And players no longer take damage from being slammed into walls by a sandstorm, which is one of those fixes that sounds funny until it ruins a run. The biggest feature change is the expedition map update, and honestly, this is the part that changes the feel of the mode the most. Fat Shark is kicking off the first expedition map rotation, which means the old nodes get wiped and replaced with a fresh set of unique nodes, along with a new modifier and a new environment condition to keep the mode from feeling stale. The important part is that everyone starts again from a new starting node, so it is a clean reset rather than a situation where one group gets to keep a permanent lead. Tech remnants are tied to the current rotation, so every player is back on equal footing as the new cycle begins. There's also a community unlock baked into the rotation, and one special node requires the whole community to gather 200,000 tech remnants total. The game counts each strike team member separately for that goal, so a 4-person squad that extracts successfully contributes 4 times to the pool. That design makes the rotation feel more like a shared push rather than a solo grind, and it gives players a reason to keep running expeditions beyond their own personal unlock path. The fix list is where this update really shows how many rough edges they wanted to smooth out. Some of these are the kind of things that would quietly frustrate players over and over, like expeditions sometimes being marked as failed, even when the team extracted successfully, curios showing the wrong stamina value, and long item descriptions getting cut off when you inspect gear. There are also fixes for several cosmetic text errors, including Commodore's Vestures items that incorrectly said they came from the commissary. On the gameplay side, they corrected Psyker Smite animation behavior when entering Scryer's gaze while channeling, fixed enemies spawning too early at the start of some levels, and sorted out the timer bug that made it look like time was ticking down when hot joining into a sanctuary. Objective markers were tightened up too, so capture zone markers do not linger after completion, and the game now shows the marker before players reach the capture zone, which is a nice bit of clarity. They also added pushback to the extraction Valkyrie door so players do not get stuck in it, fixed server crashes during hot join in extraction, fixed an Arbit's Cybermastiff Pounce crash, fixed an Auspex sound issue that could crash the game, and addressed multiple problems in sanctuaries and extraction areas, including sand vortexes getting stuck and players being soft-locked behind a door on dedicated servers. There are a few cosmetic fixes too, and they are the sort of details that make the whole game feel less rough around the edges. Hairstyles earned through owning Vermintide 1 and 2 were showing up black instead of the right colors, and certain Vostroyan headgear cosmetics looked broken while moving around the Morningstar. Even after all of that, the team is still being upfront about a few known issues, which is useful because it tells players what might still be shaky after the update lands. Hot joining into an expedition can still put a player in dead if it happens while the active team is leaving a sanctuary. Some new sanctuary items cannot be tagged yet. Some textures can bug out on AMD GPUs. Xbox players can see low-quality textures for a bit while levels and enemies finish loading. And the studio is also looking into a higher GPU crash rate tied to turning FSR frame generation back on for AMD Radeon RX 90XX cards. So, this is not just a balance pass or a tiny cleanup patch. It is one of those updates that tries to improve the daily experience in a lot of different places at once, while also laying down a fresh structure for expeditions going forward.